What does America receive from Israel in exchange for all this aid? A key strategic ally in a region that famously is not very fond of the US and access to their intelligence network. I will just add, in addition to Israel being a strategic partner that is mostly Western aligned, this is questionable, but people like to say it anyway. Most of the military aid we send goes over in the form on a gift card to buy American military hardware. So think of it as a jobs program as well, and subsidies to make sure that portions of our defense industry don't go under. Ukraine isn't a great comparison because while Ukraine was shifting to the NATO away from Russia, we did not have defense pacts and the like with that country. Israel, we have a 50-year history of cooperation, support, etc. It's a subsidy to the US military-industrial complex, a strategic partner in the Middle East. I think the misconception you're having is that this is a handout. It is contractual obligation for Israel to purchase us-made weapons from the United States using that aid money. So it is a way of taking the money from your left pocket and putting aid into your right pocket while increasing GDP and generating economical growth. He'll tell you one thing: most every tool insert in the shops I've worked in have come from Israel. If you're doing any CNC work wherever you are, check to see who is making your inserts, cause I bet it's Israel. 1. Financial and lobbying support for American politicians. 2. Much of the money is just immediately paid to American arms manufacturers. It's just a way to funnel taxpayer money directly into corporations. Israel is more than just a strategic ally in the Middle East. Israeli companies have operations in the United States and vice versa. As well, they have designed the desalination process that we use in California to combat our water needs. Middle Eastern hegemony. And if you think Ukraine is any different, I've got some bad news for you. All these wars are about spheres of influence, all of them. I'm not saying Russia is right, but we wouldn't be supplying Ukraine if we weren't trying to exert our power globally and counter Russian influence. Anyone who thinks the US bases its military policy and aid decisions on purely moral considerations is seriously naive. According to the pastor at the church where I grew up, the USA is showered by God's love and providence because of our support of Israel. Israel is also key to Jesus' return during the end times, which I hear will be any day now. I don't believe any of this, but it is a good summation of what I learned in church and what a lot of elected officials from the evangelical spectrum seem to believe. Gives us a strategic position in the Mideast, close to Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia. One thing that flies under the radar is that since at least the 90s, the US has been sending police officers and border patrol agents to Israel to participate in joint operations. Their stated goal is to learn counter-terrorism tactics and ways to manage illegal immigration. However, the turmoil there has its advantages. Israel is a testing ground. The US sends its weapons and Israel tests them out, subjugating the Palestinians, and in squabbles with their neighbors, the equipment and tactics that prove effective then get adopted by US police forces to quell our own civil unrest. I worked with a guy that went to Israel a couple times on business trips. He told me that he loved going to Israel because they love Americans there. My response was, they better. A nuclear-armed ally in the Middle East. Someone to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities whenever they get too far. In addition to the many comments on Israel being a crucial strategic partner and aircraft carrier in a dangerous region, it also is a huge source of scientific and technological advancements for humanity, and that has obvious benefits to the United States. The primary form of US aid to Israel is US taxpayers spending US dollars in US companies to dump US weapons in Israel. So, it serves as more of a domestic military-industrial stimulus package. Outside of giving Boeing, Lockheed, Raytheon their cut, there are RD benefits, like the Iron Dome anti-missile system, and, at least formerly, as a testing ground for American weaponry. For example, the first F-15 kill came from an Israeli strike against a PLO target in Lebanon. Additionally, Israel has its own military-industrial complex, and to the extent that the glut of American goods satisfies Israeli demand for weapons, their military-industrial complex isn't given that work, which serves to weaken Israeli competitors in foreign sales against the American competitors. So, kickbacks, trade protectionism, and a bit of RD work. As Biden has said in the past, if Israel didn't exist, the US would need to create one to protect her interests in the region. Israel is often called an unsinkable aircraft carrier in the Middle East. It's purely about location. A guarantee that Iran never gets nukes is a real part of it. The first thing Iran would do with a nuke is put it in a suitcase and blow up Tel Aviv, so it's a red line for Israel that it never happens. Israel will probably stop Iran from crossing the finish line with sabotage and assassinations. but will use military options if those fail. It's an existential threat for them. Israel is basically a beachhead and a proving ground for advanced weapons systems, especially air defense.